In this example, we're going to be creating a confidence interval for the slope of the regression equation that allows us to plug in the Gini index of a state or city in the United States and predict the violent crime rate per 1,000 people. Now, I've written the equation up here. I can also write it like this. That is, I can write it as violent crime is what we're trying to predict. So we'll put that in for the y hat equals negative 57.86 plus 178.08, and rather than write x there, I can go ahead and write gini. What this allows us to do is make a regression equation that's a little bit more descriptive. That is, I can tell what I'm plugging in and what I'm getting out of it by naming the variables rather than leaving them as x and y. Now what I'd like to do is create a confidence interval for the slope. So the first step I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and list. I need to list B1, that's the actual slope, 178.08. I need to list n, which in this case was 452. I'll use that to find degrees of freedom. And remember, degrees of freedom is n minus 2 when we're doing regression equations because we have one sample, two variables. This will be 450. I also, after I find all this, need to go ahead and list the t-square I'm going to use. To find this t-square, go to the t-table, trace 95% up, trace degrees of freedom over. Note there's no 450, so I round down to 100. When I do this, I'll get a t-square of 1.984. After I have all of this, the next step is to go ahead and do my calculations. Luckily for me, there's no real calculations here. I need to have SE. It's not a calculation we'd ever do by hand, though. So I'll go ahead and tell you, in this case, it was 157.04. After I get that, the third step is to go ahead and put together my interval. My interval is B1 plus or minus T times SE. When I do this, I get a lower value of 133.49 and 489.65 if I round to 2 decimal places. After I've got this, the next step is to go ahead and state it. When I state it, we are blank % confident that for each one increase in X, there is between a blank and y. In this case, that is, we are 95% confident that for each one increase in our Gini index, there is between a 133.49 and 489.65 in violent crime. Now, it's important to realize that I've worded this a little differently than some of the examples on Moodle, and the reason I've done that is because, yeah, it's between a 13349, but it's negative, so that's decrease. And yeah, I have 489, but this is positive, so increase. What's interesting in this is that when we get our 95% confidence interval, we're not actually sure if a change in the Gini index increases or decreases crime. This tells us that, in fact, changing the Gini index might have nothing to do with the violent crime rate, according to this specific study.